Imagine this. You are in a heated discussion. Your heart races, your mind fills with arguments ready to be shot like arrows. You feel a desperate need to respond. You need to defend yourself. You need to prove that you are right. But what if I told you that the moment you feel that desperate need to react, you have already lost? The world has taught us that strength lies in our voice, in the ability to argue, to impose oneself, and to always have a sharp response at the tip of the tongue. But Friedrich Nietzsche saw this completely differently. For him, true power does not lie in shouting louder, nor in forcefully convincing others. True power lies in what you choose not to say. Look around you. The world has never been so noisy. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone wants to be heard. Social media has turned conversations into public battles where victory is not achieved through truth, but through volume and repetition. But Nietzsche would warn us. This obsession with speaking, with responding, with shouting your position to the world, is not strength. It is disguised weakness. Stop and think. Why do people feel this almost compulsive need to express themselves at all times? The answer is simple. Deep down, they are afraid. Afraid of being irrelevant, afraid of being forgotten, afraid that their silence will be interpreted as submission. So they fill every empty space with words. Words they often don't even fully believe, but are spoken just to avoid the terror of insignificance. But what Nietzsche understood, and what few today can grasp, is that the one who masters silence will never be insignificant. On the contrary, they become an enigma. They become someone who cannot be easily categorized or predicted, and the unpredictable will always be more powerful than the obvious. Before we dive into the dark psychology of Nietzsche's masterpiece, Beyond Good and Evil, I have a question for you. Do you have control over your words, or are you a slave to the need to be heard? If you are ready to stop being a puppet of the crowd, subscribe and join this community of those who dare to look into the abyss. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Prejudices of Philosophers. Nietzsche begins his work with a brutal, cold-blooded attack on what we call the truth. But he doesn't just ask what the truth is, he asks something much more uncomfortable. What in us actually wants the truth? Think about that. We take it for granted that truth is good. But Nietzsche challenges this faith in opposite values. He suggests that truth and falsehood might not be opposites at all. What if your most cherished truths are actually just refined versions of your illusions? What if a certain amount of deception is actually necessary for you to stay alive? The wily lawyers of the mind Nietzsche calls the great philosophers of history wily lawyers. He reveals a secret most are too weak to face. No philosopher's ever been objective. They pretend they reach their conclusions through cold, hard logic. But Nietzsche sees through the act. He says they start with a prejudice, a gut feeling, or a desire, and then they spend their whole lives building a fortress of logic to justify it. When someone tells you this is the rational thing to do, be careful. They are likely just giving you a sophisticated excuse for what their instincts already wanted to do. The superstition of the I. Nietzsche then turns his blade toward one of the biggest lies we tell ourselves, the idea of the I, or the ego. We say, I think. We assume that we are in control of our thoughts. But Nietzsche laughs at this. He says, a thought comes when it wants, not when I want. Think about the last time you tried to stop a worrying thought. Did you succeed? Or did the thought stay as long as it pleased? Nietzsche argues that your consciousness is just a surface. Beneath it, there's a war of instincts. You are not the captain of your ship. You are just the person on the deck reading the map, while the engines below decide where the ship actually goes. This is a terrifying realization. It means that your decisions are often just the result of whichever instinct happened to win the battle in your head that morning. The attack on Stoicism. For those of you who love Stoicism, Nietzsche has a special warning. Stoics say we should live according to nature. But Nietzsche calls this a piece of self-deception. Nature is indifferent. Nature is wasteful. Nature has no mercy. So why do Stoics want to live according to nature? Nietzsche's answer is brutal. You aren't trying to follow nature. You are trying to impose your own will onto nature. You want to make the world as rigid and disciplined as you are. This is the ultimate will to power, the desire to see your own image reflected in the entire universe. Philosophy is physiology. Nietzsche's most profound insight in this chapter is that every philosophy is actually just a symptom of the philosopher's body. If a philosopher is sick, his philosophy will be one of escape, of another world where there is no pain. If a philosopher is strong and healthy, his philosophy will embrace this world with all its danger and suffering. So, look at your own beliefs. Do they come from your strength, or are they a medicine for your weakness? Do you believe in peace because you are peaceful, or because you are too afraid of conflict? Do you believe in forgiveness because you are merciful, or because you are too weak to take revenge? Nietzsche demands that you stop lying to yourself. He wants you to realize that your moral truths are often just the symptoms of your psychological state. Only when you admit this can you begin to become a free spirit. Only then can you stop being a puppet of your own hidden prejudices and start building a life that is truly your own. Chapter 2. The Free Spirit. Now, imagine a lone wolf moving through the shadows, away from the pack. This is Nietzsche's free spirit. But being a free spirit is not about being a rebel for the sake of it. It is a dangerous, lonely path. Nietzsche writes that every deep thinker needs a mask. Why? Because your true depth would burn the people around you. You cannot be completely honest with people who are not on your level of consciousness. Have you ever felt that you had to act dumber or hide your true thoughts just to fit in? That is the mask Nietzsche is talking about. To become truly powerful, you must undergo the test of independence. You must be able to detach yourself from your country, from your family, and even from your own virtues. You must not become a slave to your own goodness. Ask yourself this: if everyone you knew disappeared tomorrow and there was no one left to impress or judge you, would you still be the same person, or would your entire identity vanish along with the noise of others? If your identity depends on the crowd, you are not a free spirit. You are just a shadow of the herd. True independence is the ability to say yes or no based on your own internal law. It is the strength to be misunderstood and to remain silent while others gossip. Because those who truly have power never despair to be heard. Even if you call yourself an atheist, Nietzsche would laugh in your face. He believed that the religious instinct doesn't simply vanish just because we stopped believing in gods with beards in the clouds. That instinct has merely transformed. Today, your churches are your political ideologies, your social movements, and your obsession with productivity. In the third chapter, Nietzsche analyzes what he calls the religious neurosis. He observes something fascinating. The history of religion is actually a history of cruelty towards oneself. He describes a ladder of religious cruelty. Once, humans sacrificed other humans to their gods. Then, they sacrificed their strongest instincts, their sexuality and their pride. But today, we have reached the final level. We have sacrificed God himself, not to be free, but to worship nothingness, the material world, or a soulless version of science. Ask yourself, what do you worship? What is the one thing you are not allowed to question? If there is a topic you cannot discuss or an idea you must believe in to avoid being rejected by society, congratulations, you have found your modern religion, and just like the old ones, this one keeps you in chains. Chapter 5. The Natural History of Morals. Now we enter the most dangerous part of Nietzsche's teaching, the distinction that will forever change how you see the people around you, the difference between master morality and slave morality. Imagine a flock of sheep and an eagle circling above them. To the sheep, the eagle is evil. It is a predator. It is dangerous. It breaks their rules of peace. But to the eagle, being evil means nothing. It is simply following its nature. It does not hate the sheep. In fact, it loves them because they are delicious. Nietzsche says that most people live in slave morality. This is a morality born out of weakness and resentment, a deep, suppressed bitterness toward those who are stronger, more beautiful, or more successful. Slave morality says, "Since I cannot get what I want, I will pretend I don't want it. Since I am weak, I will say weakness is actually goodness. Since I am afraid to strike back, I will say forgiveness is a virtue." This is the psychological trap of the modern man. Are you actually good, or are you just harmless? There is a massive difference. A rabbit is not moral because it doesn't eat a wolf. It doesn't eat the wolf because it can't. Morality only begins at the moment when you are powerful enough to cause harm, but you consciously choose to channel that power into something greater. Master morality, on the other hand, is the morality of strength, pride, and the affirmation of life. The master does not ask for permission to exist. He does not seek validation in the eyes of others. He creates his own values. He says yes to challenges, yes to suffering, and yes to his own power. Look at the world around you. Social media is fueled by slave morality. People compete to see who is the biggest victim because in the system of slave morality, the victim has the power to blame others. Being weak has become a status symbol. Nietzsche challenges you to reject this. He demands that you become a creator, not a victim. Chapter 9. What is noble? We have reached the peak of the mountain, the final chapter. What is noble? Nietzsche believed that every high civilization was the work of an aristocratic society, a society that believed in a pathos of distance. This is the feeling that there are ranks in the human soul, that some souls are deeper, higher, and more powerful than others. To be noble is to have a profound reverence for yourself. It is the ability to be alone with your own greatness without needing the applause of the crowd. Nietzsche writes that a noble soul does not look upwards. It either looks straight ahead or it looks down, not out of hatred, but out of the realization that not everyone is capable of the same depth. The noble man knows that suffering is the greatest teacher. He does not seek a life of comfort. He knows that everything great in man has been created through tension, through hardship, and through the discipline of great suffering. Ask yourself, are you trying to escape your pain, or are you using it as a tool? The common man wants to be happy. The noble man wants to be great. And greatness and happiness rarely walk hand in hand. As we close the pages of Beyond Good and Evil, we are left with a final, haunting image. Nietzsche describes his thoughts as withered words that he is trying to capture on paper. He knows that by the time he writes an idea down, it has already lost some of its life. The truth is, Nietzsche didn't want you to follow him. He wanted you to find yourself. He wanted you to realize that you are the architect of your own heaven and your own hell. You have a choice. You can go back to the noise. You can return to the herd, seeking validation in every comment, every like, and every nod of approval from people you don't even respect. You can stay in the prison of good and evil that was built for you by others. Or you can step into the silence. You can embrace your will to power. You can start creating values that serve your own growth. You can choose to be the eagle, not the sheep. The abyss is looking at you right now. Will you blink, or will you have the courage to look back and see the God that is waiting to be born within you? If this journey through the dark psychology of Nietzsche has shifted something inside you, do not let that fire die out. This is the first day of your new life. Subscribe to join those who refuse to be domestic animals. Leave a comment with the word noble if you reached the end. It lets me know who has the attention span to actually seek the truth in a world of 10-second distractions.